100% rather than waiting on that long waiting list. We all know residents who are waiting. Many of us have got family members who are waiting. The fact that that is going to be able to reduce that is a massive asset for our community, and definitely falls under Section 8 of that NPPF. And finally, Section 11, making effective use of land. We've just heard about the way in which the place, sadly, no longer meets modern regulations, whether that's in terms of access, in terms of disabled access, in terms of green energy, sustainability, etc. And therefore, using this land there is definitely effective use of previously developed land. I'd also say that it clearly meets our BAS TC1, which looks at how we can improve our town centres in terms of residential amenity, in terms of those economic and social needs of our communities. And this plan application definitely meets that. I have no qualms whatsoever in supporting this application tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. That was quite a lot of things that are good with it. And you just missed Section 14, meeting the challenge of climate change, because it's got panels on the roof.
I'm not as excited by panels as you are, Carol, but I'll give you that.
Councillor Allen.
Well, I was particularly pleased to see a simple brick building, nice red bricks, which are cheerful, bearing in mind the troubles we've had with cladding and system building that is vulnerable to falling about later, and so I think that's a very simple feature of red brick, which is cheerful, and I like that. Yeah.
Councillor Turson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. To be honest, I'd like to echo both of what the previous speakers have said. As a Pitsea resident myself for over the 25 years, I know the area very, very well. I use the centre myself regularly that's there at the minute, and is correct, it's not fit for purpose now, unfortunately. It costs a lot to upkeep. There's a lot of the rooms that aren't accessible because of problems with lifts, etc., etc. We've also got to remember that the area of Pitsea is also a very poor area, and we also have a shorter life expectancy than other parts of the borough. So anything that can help the local residents as well as the wider community, with the NHS coming in and offering more services and quicker services, the better. I'm very pleased to see we're continuing with having library provision in Pitsea, because I know that was one thing that did concern residents. And the same with the activity centre. It's great to see that will be within the new building. Lot better services than they've got at the moment, a better building. I personally like the design of the building. I think it looks smart. It will definitely tidy the area up. And we're lucky in Pitsea, we've got a thriving town centre with, I think, only one shop that's up for rent at the moment there. All the rest are taken. But this will only add to the footfall, which will increase the uses of shops, which again is really good for local businesses. That's what I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turson. Councillor Myers.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I echo the comments of what my colleagues here have said this evening. It is a very well-designed building on a site where, as some have mentioned, has now come to the end of its life, or very near to, and obviously would then require millions of pounds of investment to bring it up to standard, where it would be easier to look into demolition and rebuilding of something on that site. And I think it's extremely good news that something like this has come forward and chosen a site like this that has come to the end of its life for improvement. And it is very well designed. I have a concern about the number of car parking spaces, because who knows how many people are going to be in there. I think they said there was 64, but I know from where I am at the Wickford Community Centre that sometimes we have 64 with an overflow car park, but there's not another car park nearby, so people are then parking on other people's residential streets. So perhaps that's an issue to be tackled later on. It is a minor one, I think, in this case, because of the benefits that this scheme gives to those people that will be using it across the borough. It's a nice place in Pitsea to have, and obviously the vitality of the towns. but we will be having people being referred there from across the borough, from Billericay, Wickford, Langdon, Pitsea, so Fange. So I think it's it's very nice, it's very good that they're using this site to do it. But that is my only concern, and I hope that someone can sort of take that away and maybe have traffic management plans in place for using the activity centre and the NHS kind of side by side. But that's my only concern. But other than that, I'm quite happy to vote for this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Myers. Councillor Adeshili?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you so much. I'm particularly very impressed with the quality of the building based on the presentation that we've seen tonight. The plan of what's going to be inside the building, I think, is going to be very beneficial to the community, and I think it's a very modern building that is going to service the community very well. I live in Pitsea. I use the facility, and I know that the facility we've got at the moment is definitely at its end of life. One thing I do want to say, in addition to what has already been said this evening about the benefits that it brings to Basildon, is that the financial benefits that it brings. We, as a borough, we will not have to come up with the whole money to rebuild that building. It's now an investment, and an investment that's gone into our borough, and it will service our borough positively. Apart from that, I think it's going to create jobs as well for maybe more local people and bring certainly more business into the area of Pitsea. I'm very happy that it's Pitsea that was chosen. I did sit there thinking of all the places they could have chosen in Basildon. They chose Pitsea, but it actually is a very good thing. Just like when the range came along, the range is a fantastic thing for Pitsea, and I know this will be the same as well. So I will definitely be supporting this tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Adeshili. Do any other councillors wish to speak on this item? That being the case, then we will go... Oh, sorry, Councillor Sargent.
I would just like to say, Chairman, that this is a fantastic opportunity for Basildon Council to work in partnership with the Essex NHS Foundation Trust, and that together we've developed such a fantastic opportunity to go forward for not just our own communities but for the wider community as well. We are absolutely in need of this facility for both the community and the health side of things. So just to say that this will happen, and as Councillor Adeshili has said, they could not have chosen a better place for this facility. So we at Basildon, we must be very indebted to both the Council and the NHS for this project, to which we all wait with bated breath to get built. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Sargent. Does anyone else wish to speak? Have we all had our turn? Yep. Okay, well, we'll move to the recommendation, which can be found on page 30, with conditions from page 30 through to 39, I believe, and amendments to conditions 12 and 26, which you will find on your update sheet. So the recommendation is that the committee resolves that planning application number 23/01082/full be granted planning permission, subject to the conditions set out below, with any amendments that might be necessary up to the issue of the decision notice, and subject to the applicant entering into a unilateral undertaking under section 106 of the Council in relation to the financial and monitoring contributions as set out at section 5.16 of this report. Can I have a show of hands for those in favour of that recommendation, please? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. We'll move on now to item 5 on the agenda. Yeah, please. This application came to the last planning committee where a decision was taken not to agree to the recommendation of approval. Subsequently, the item was deferred and officers have come up with some reasons for refusal, which are in tonight's agenda, which we will be looking at later. For the benefit of anyone watching and members of the committee who are not here for that particular application, I'm going to ask the officer to give us a brief resume of the item, please. I'll hand over to Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Chair. If I just go to the site location plan, sorry. So the application site area is outlined in red. Crays Hill Post Office is near the application site. Also, the site is within a mature residential area. There's a parking area to the side of the existing building and also residential properties within Oak Avenue. There are also existing outbuildings within the rear of the existing building, which you can see outlined in that plan. Moving on to the proposed site plan. So this shows the proposed layout of the site with the proposed extension. Springfields is a neighbour at the top of the plan and properties at Oak Avenue. The red dotted lines indicate existing buildings in the site which will be demolished. And existing access to the land at the rear of the site will be closed and the existing parking spaces realigned in accordance with the blue dotted lines on the plan. The proposed extension will be sited approximately 3.3 metres from the boundary with Springfields and approximately 3.4 to 3.6 metres from the boundary with the Firs and Willowmead at Oak Avenue. The extension will also be approximately 20 metres from the rear elevations of these two properties. This shows the aerial view of the existing building and the car parking spaces. Within the land to the rear of the existing buildings, there's a red roofed building and a green roofed buildings. These will be demolished to make way for the proposed extension. Site photographs of the existing of the rear building and also to the boundary with Springfields, the neighbouring property. These are the existing elevations. So the front elevation is facing onto Crays Hill and the side elevation faces onto the existing car parking. Got the existing rear and the existing side. These are the proposed elevations. The top one will be facing towards the car park and the boundaries of the properties off Oak Avenue. The height of the extension at its highest point is 3.5 metres and is lowered to 3.2 metres. In terms of the bottom side elevation, no windows are proposed. The proposed materials will be timber cladding and brickwork. The extension height has been reduced from the original plans and also relocated more off the side boundaries of the site. Its design is now of a linear form than the previously staggered design. The proposed rear elevation. The rear elevation indicates that the extension will be set off the side boundaries and away from the existing neighbouring properties' boundaries. It will also be set in from the existing side walls of the existing building. The proposed floor plan of the extension shows the length of the extension is proposed to be approximately 19.5 metres and a depth of 8.5 metres. And here we have some computer-generated images of the proposed extension from the applicant. Your officers considered that these plans overcame concerns regarding the scale of the proposed extension. Neighbouring properties' comments have been fully considered, and as such, officers recommended the application for approval subject to conditions at the last committee. The update sheet sets out the recommendation and the conditions. The members at the meeting requested officers to draft reasons for refusal. These reasons are given at page 44 of the agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clark. Right, members of the committee, do you wish to ask any questions about the reasons for refusal? And the reasons for refusal are in the agenda. They state that the proposed development, by reason of its design, scale and massing, will result in a cramped form of development and unsatisfactory layout, which will result in a loss of separation between the existing commercial use and residential properties. In addition, the proposed extension will appear visually incongruous and out of keeping with the existing character of the residential area, which will adversely affect the visual amenity of the locality. The proposal is therefore contrary to Saved Policy BAS BE22 of the Basildon District Local Plan Saved Policies 2007 and paragraphs 135 and 139 of the NPPF 2023. The second reason for refusal, the proposed development, by reason of its scale and massing, will result in an overbearing impact to the residential amenities of the neighbouring properties. The proposal is therefore contrary to Saved Policy BAS BE22 of the Basildon District Local Plan Saved Policies 2007 and paragraphs 135 of the NPPF 2023. Does anyone wish to discuss those reasons for refusal? Councillor Brown.
Okay, I mean, obviously, initially, the officer's recommendation was to approve this application. And as part of that report, they said that they felt that the changes that had been made overcame the initial problems they had with scale and massing. That is what is originally in the officer's report. My question would be then, how robust do officers feel these reasons for refusal are, and whether or not, bearing in mind what it says in the original report, that scale and massing is not a problem, how likely is this to hold up at appeal? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. I think this is a borderline application, to be honest. We sought some revisions which we felt were on balance sufficient to overcome our original concerns. It's a difficult application. I feel like, we felt as a team that on balance the revisions that have been made overcame our original concerns, but it wouldn't be unreasonable to refuse the application if members wish to do so.
Does anyone else wish to ask any questions with regards to what you have in front of you? No? Do you wish to debate it? Councillor Myers.
I know it was a couple of weeks ago and a lot's sort of gone on then, but I seem to remember, and I can't remember because I haven't got the minutes in front of me, but there was also, we spoke about scale massing and also the crampedness, which came up at the end, but I believe there was another reason put forward for refusal at the time of the meeting last for deferral. So we did C, overdevelopment of a site. G, damage to residential amenity, and H, damage to visual amenity / poor design, I believe.
The committee does have the option, of course, to add more conditions or amend the conditions that are being suggested. Whilst the officers are looking at this and thinking about this, I'm just saying, that's what we're discussing, that these conditions, whether they need to be amended, whether we need an additional condition, how you see this working as directed by the committee directed last time round. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just a short question. Obviously, last time we gave the officers a list of the letters that we wanted them to consider. I'm just interested to know why they disregarded 2 of those and why they just focused on this one. We disregarded one of, they took on board 2 of them and disregarded one of them. Was that because the officers felt that that was not a reasonable reason for refusal? I'd just be interested to hear their thoughts on that. Thank you, Carol.
Yes, so we've identified kind of two reasons for refusal here. One is a design-based reason for refusal, an unsatisfactory layout, and the second one is a more of a residential amenity objection. So I think between those two, we feel like we've satisfactorily covered the key issues arising from the meeting last time, but we can add some additional wording into one of these conditions if members wish to do so.
Did you wish to come back on this one, Councillor Myers, as you raised it?
Sorry, just trying to find the page again. Thank you, Charles. So you mentioned there, obviously, you've got the reasons for refusal for damage to residential amenity, and I believe it's scaled and massing. So obviously that's the overdevelopment. That's part C. But I believe it was part H as well, for damage to the visual amenities of poor design. So I just wondered whether or not, as Councillor Brown has just mentioned, whether or not that was actually taken away and looked at in depth to word up a reason for us to discuss this evening, or whether or not it was felt that rightly or wrongly that couldn't be substantiated at all and therefore wasn't written up.
Yes, Councillor Myers. So H refers to damage to visual amenity, poor design. So within the first reason for refusal, we've referenced the proposed extension will appear visually incongruous and out of keeping with the existing character of the residential area, which will adversely affect the visual amenity of the locality. So I think we would say that covered point H, or that was our way of addressing point H.
Okay, so what we've done is we've stuck reason H and reason C, overdevelopment, because obviously we've got scale and massing in there as well, cramped form, so overdevelopment. We've stuck H and C into the same reason for refusal. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, part C, overdevelopment of the site, I think we talk in reason 2 about scale and massing, so I think that could possibly come into it there as well. But principally, the first reason is a design-based objection, and the second reason is a residential amenity-based objection.
Okay, Councillor Allen?
Yeah, I'm concerned on page 53, there were 2 comments there about noise intrusion, and that can be quite wearing for neighbours. There at the top of page 53, a neighbour says background noise is already audible from within our house and the much smaller plant housing on the site. And this would be greatly increased from the enormously enlarged plant area. So I think a reason for refusal is the noise intrusion that this development poses to the immediate neighbours. And at the bottom of page 53, a neighbour says, what about, where's the location of air conditioning units? And these often appear on flat roofs, even though they don't appear on architects' drawings. So neighbours could be vulnerable to air conditioning units being placed on that flat roof, and then being a noisy whir when they're trying to enjoy their gardens.
Yeah, I think in terms of the noise objection, we consulted the environmental health team, and they didn't raise any objection to the application on noise grounds. So I think we would struggle to defend a reason for refusal on noise. In terms of the air conditioning units, I mean, if members were minded to approve the application, we could impose a condition requiring them to submit details of any air conditioning units they were proposing, and then we could consult with the environmental health team on that to ensure that noise levels are adequate.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Allen? We are actually at the moment looking at reasons for refusal, so we wouldn't want to put a condition that they had to do that, would we?
No. I'm not happy about it because I can imagine the neighbours being wearied by background noise, but it seems to be quite difficult to control noise. Like noise is difficult to control, and Environmental Health said, well, they're only 30 decibels, and that's quite low or whatever. But I'm just flagging that up as something that we'd like to refuse this, and then you don't get the noise.
Okay, does anyone else have anything that they want to discuss, ask questions about? No. Right, well, I'm going to, somewhere or other I'm going to work out what I'm going to do. The recommendation on page 44 is that planning application number 23/00353/full be refused planning permission for the following reasons, which are the two that we've just been discussing, which I read out to you. Can I have a show of hands for those in? Okay, so they are the what? They are the ones I read out to you, which are on the the reasons for refusal are written on the update sheet. They're the ones that I have read out. Can I have a show of hands for those that are in favour of the recommendation and those refusals? Do you want me to? No,
There are, but I think what you want to do is based on the fact that the previous recommendation.
Yes, Councillor Brown, there are two recommendations, but I'm asking for a vote on one of them. Should people not wish to go with that, then we have got two other options. Okay, so the recommendation, I think I read that correctly. The reasons for refusal are on the back of the update sheet, which are the ones that I read out for you earlier on. There are two of them, yes. So can I have a...
Yes.
So can I have a show of hands for those that wish to refuse for the reasons that were read out earlier on and written on the back of your update sheet, please? Those in favour of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 that are in favour of that. Those that wish to vote against that recommendation, that's 1, and abstentions, 2. How many is that? That's 10, and there are 10 of us here. Okay, so therefore the application is refused for the reasons as read. Thank you very much for your perseverance this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
That's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll see you in a fortnight.